Mabuhay Manila, this is Shadel from ManilaShaker.com, and the OPPO is well known at making well-designed camera-centric smartphones, and the newly released Reno 5 5G features not only large numbers in the main and selfie cam, but a wide variety of camera features. And if you're looking forward to deep dive into its capabilities, you're in the right channel. So is the phone's camera worth the price? Let's find out. The OPPO Reno 5 5G is equipped with 4 lenses on the rear, 64-megapixel f1.7 main cam, which I believe is backed with a Sony IMX686 camera sensor. Next, it has an 8-megapixel ultrawide alongside with 2-megapixel macro and 2-megapixel depth sensor. Starting with the main cam, it is pixel binned down to 16 megapixel to save space and to enable a brighter and less noisy images. But let us see. On the first set of pictures, we already observed that the dynamic range is fine and the software that enhances the picture when using HDR mode is impressive. The shadows are noticeably lifted, it does introduce grains, but the details that pop out still have textures and colors. In this next scene, when the light cannot easily bounce to the ceiling of the covered court, the blacks are deep, which reduce the details. However, turning on HDR, it will drastically lift up, but you will notice some unusual grains here when looking at the side and by zooming in. So it is not that great, it is just great, and compared to other smartphones, I think it is one of the smartphones with brighter pictures, and software AI process is again impressive. Texture details is sharp and colors are sometimes true to life. Sometimes it captures a warmer tone, which is not a problem since warmer temperature outputs richer photos. Color management or color reproduction is also vivid with or without AI enhancement. The main cam captured a little bit saturated and it will be boosted even more when you turn on the AI scene enhancement. Night mode shots is bright and clear. Capturing with the main cam, it outputs lesser details and a bit soft, but turning on night mode, highlights were reduced, it gets brighter and white balance are correct. It now looks sharper and clean. Not the best quality, but it has a better quality. Overall, the AI which processes the photos is noticeably good, and it really improves the output drastically, which enhances the photos even more. But it sometimes overprocesses the photos so it gets brighter but not to the point that the highlights are blown out. Now let's switch to ultrawide. What I first noticed is the dynamic range is lesser compared to the main camera. It also introduces color fringing and flares if the sky's highlight is so bright, but not to the point that it will be distracting. It outputs decent exposure, it is not overexposed or underexposed, it's just the shadows are deep that it removes details. And again, AI process will do its job if we turned on HDR mode. Capturing indoors is perfectly good and capturing nighttime is soft, but with night mode it gets sharp and bright. Capturing using portrait mode with the help of the depth sensor, the subject to background separation is accurate and it's lovely. However, the blacks are deeper. But the good thing is, the highlights are not blown out, and I think the AI process again is doing its job well enough. Simply said, highlights are not drastic, but in order to compensate for the overall balanced image, the shadows should be deeper, which makes sense since there are limitations in dynamic range. Here's the good part that I noticed. There is this neon portrait mode that is also great at capturing daylight shots, and it fixes the problem. However, the color are a little bit saturated, but it looks fine to me. Macro shot is just acceptable, there's a bit of grain. Colors, however, is almost true to life, though it only has fixed focus so we can't get to the subjects up close. Now switching to the front, the OPPO Reno 5 5G has a hole punch cutout on the top left side of the screen, housing a 32-megapixel f2.4 selfie cam. I just have one complaint about the selfie cam. The sky's highlight is bright and that's it. The skin tone color is great, blacks didn't crash, nighttime selfie is bright, sharp, and acceptable. Selfie indoors still outputs nice skin tone colors, and the AI beautification didn't do much to the scene, but it smoothens my face or my skin, which is great as the colors are still alive. Subject to background separation is quite accurate, although it is not perfect. On video recording, OPPO Reno 5 records video clip up to 4K at 30 frames, which gives flexibility for advanced editing. It also records 1080p at 60 frames and 30 frames, and what is good about its video is the exposure value. It is constantly balanced and it doesn't have a drastic switch in the highlights and shadows. On the selfie video, there is no drastic switch again on the exposure when I introduce the bright highlights in the scene. I have a constant exposure in my face, which is pretty good. There's also stabilization on all video resolution including selfie, and an ultra steady feature and ultra steady pro that shoots wider view but lesser quality. As for camera features, there's a lot to see here. As I've said, they all have stabilization on all resolution, but if for example you are going to film using mobile phone, there's this movie feature that you can adjust the ISO and shutter and all the manual stuff. Basically, it is a pro mode but in video, and it removes stabilization, and you can just simply turn it on in the viewfinder. However, there is no log shooting or raw shooting on both video and photo pro mode or expert mode, which is kinda lacking for me. It also has dual view video, which I first encountered in the Galaxy S7 Edge, but this feature has more flexibility and even has a beautification feature, which is nice and fun. There's also a slow motion that shoots 1080p footages and even slower but in 720p resolution. Features that are worth mentioning are the tripod mode, neon portrait, live bokeh, hyperlapse, and ultra night videos, which makes the phone even fun and exciting, and it really catches the eye of mobile filmmakers. Although there are still quite a few drawbacks and missing features which I can find in other lower mid-rangers. But again, if we are talking about overall specs, the camera features are more than enough. Overall, the main cam is good, but the quality really depends on how the AI processes the image. Without its AI, it is just a typical smartphone point-and-shoot device. Features are reliable and can use for entertainment or creativity, but it feels like it needs more features like raw files for post-editing. But Reno 5 5G is still a featured-packed smartphone. I have no complaints about the selfie cam. It outputs flattering selfies and it really gives beauty to my face. For the price of 23,999 pesos, there's still more value in other departments such as design, 5G, and performance. And that's the camera performance of the OPPO Reno 5 5G. What do you think of the quality? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this type of videos, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified on our future content. And also don't forget to visit manilashakir.com for more tech news, reviews, and comparison of the latest device. Once again, this is Aisha Delen. Mabuhay, Manila!